this after as a portfolio member. She's actually travelling in North Wales and will possibly be late for the meeting. So if it can just be recorded, she emailed me earlier, Chair.
No problem. Thanks, Paul. Yes, apologies for that. It was raised earlier. I forgot to announce that. So just go back. Item agenda 2, declaration of interest. I don't believe anybody has any. No. Okay, thank you. Item agenda 3, scrutiny work programme 2022 to 2023. Andrew, I believe you're presenting this.
I'll take that if that's okay, Chair.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, it's just a brief outline of the report, really. It's just that we need to agree the items in Appendix 1 as a committee, because this is the first part of the cycle, the first meeting of the cycle. And in addition to this, we need to set out the key principles and develop a work programme to bring back to this meeting in September. And part of these key principles we have used previously, but we've written them in a different way, in particular with regards to the 4 S's and the 4 R's that we touched on in training. But for the work programme itself, we'd be focusing on the 4 R's. But as we touched on, along with the chair, we'd be developing workshops, including all of the committee, to develop a draft work programme that we'll bring back to this committee back in September then.
Thanks, Neil. Any questions, anyone?
So,
Clive?
Where the suggestions come in for the agenda then for September? Do we contact you, Neil?
So I pick that up. I've spoken to Neil earlier, Clive. Yeah. We're gonna arrange a day where we can all meet together to discuss it.
Right.
We at the moment we set the 18th of July, but we'll have a chat, and if everybody can make that, we'll go with that. Otherwise, we'll set a different date. I'd like everybody to be there if possible.
Right. What time were you given then? Given for that?
Well, we can discuss that now. What time suits? Or should we do that? Should we do that later? Any other business?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no problem. Neil?
Yeah, it was just basically the response you've given. That's all. I was just going to respond to Councillor Jones. That's all, but you summed it up.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions? No. Any comments? No. Okay, thank you. Okay, agenda. We move on. Item agenda 4, scrutiny referrals. I've not received any. I'm not sure if any Democratic have.
No referrals.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on again. Item agenda 5, crime and disorder scrutiny report, presented by Paul Lewis.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Chair, Mr. Mayor and elected members. The report I'm bringing to you this afternoon is in relation to the legal obligations for the local authority to take into consideration crime and disorder matters, and to ensure that this is tackled by the relevant scrutiny committee. So what the report aims to outline to members is the statutory responsibility under the Police and Justice Act 2006 puts a requirement on local authorities to consider crime and disorder matters as part of its scrutiny programme. Obviously, as this is the first meeting of the current cycle, we thought prudent to bring the report to remind members that the Public Protection, Regeneration and Housing Scrutiny within the Constitution is the designated scrutiny committee for crime and disorder purposes. So what that means, Chair, is as part of this duty, the local authority can call community safety partners to scrutiny in order to scrutinise and challenge any community safety partner related activities. Members may recall who've passed on previous scrutiny committees. We've had presentations from Vowder SV, antisocial behaviour from the police. So it's really, it's reminding scrutiny that this responsibility lies with this scrutiny committee, and this scrutiny committee can call community safety partners that cover the Merthyr Tydfil area to scrutiny, to challenge the work that's been undertaken in discharging our duty under the Crime and Disorder Act. In terms of how the work of the Community Safety Partnership is scrutinised. Section 3.7 of the report identifies that it can be in this format in terms of a scrutiny committee, but I'm sure, as Neil and Andrew Mogford can advise, there's various other ways of scrutinising the work of community safety partnerships, from task and finish groups, days of action, or a call to members to come and present. So the report before you today, Chair, is to remind members of the purpose of the Crime and Disorders Scrutiny Committee, and for scrutiny to consider any feedback, observations to officers, and to consider community safety and crime and disorder matters when future planning the work programme for this scrutiny committee. I'll come back to you now, Chair, for any questions or comments.
Thanks, Paul. I'd like to open it to questions. Anna, did you have one? Your hand went up and it went down.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I think that's just technology for you.
Oh, nice. It is infuriating, don't worry.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. Paul, as a new member to this scrutiny committee, could we ensure that a list of all organisations involved in the Community Safety Partnership is circulated, so we have a good understanding of what agencies are involved and who we can call upon?
Certainly, Councillor Williams-Price, I'll ensure that that is provided. What I can tell you is the Community Safety Partnership that covers Merthyr Tydfil is currently run on a Taff footprint between ourselves and Rhondda and Taff. We've got a joint community safety board, and under that board then we've got various subgroups tackling various issues. So what I'll attempt to do for members for this scrutiny committee, I'll circulate the footprint of the various groups and the work streams within those groups and those that attend.
Thank you. And can I ask, looking at the next year, what do you feel are the key challenges for this area?
I think tackling the growing antisocial behaviour within our town centre is a key challenge. One of the areas that we're currently considering is a public space protection order in relation to alcohol consumption in the town centre. That's due to be taken back to Cabinet later this year. With Scrutiny's permission, it would probably be beneficial to bring to Scrutiny before Cabinet to outline the various challenges and proposals that we're putting forward to tackle that issue. So antisocial behaviour does remain an issue for the town centre. And wider pockets outside of the town centre, we're also experiencing some issues. So greater work with South Wales Police. We're looking at a joint strategy on tackling some of these issues. So again, what I would like to do is bring a report later in the year to update members on the work that's been undertaken to tackle these problems.
Thank you. And can I just one more question, if that's okay, Chair? In terms of these antisocial behaviour issues, obviously we'll have individuals bring things forward to us as members, but how do you feel is the best mechanism for us as a scrutiny committee to observe the issues that are happening?
In terms of the report, there is a legal process or a referral process where members who actually sit outside this scrutiny committee can make a referral into scrutiny for consideration whether it needs to be brought and partners need to be brought to the table to answer. Probably what we'll develop from this meeting with Andrew, Neil and Anne Taylor within Democratic Service is how that function is operated with a view to referrals being brought before this committee. Obviously, between the different groups within the council, members will discuss issues with their community, and it may be something that the scrutiny member relevant to that group may wish to bring as a referral and ask for a report to be brought. So those would be the two avenues. Either an individual elected member would put a referral in for consideration, or any of the political groups within the council can ask their scrutiny member for it to be considered for a future work programme.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Chair.
No problem. Before I call Clive in, Alan, was your comment regarding what Paul just said?
Well, sort of related. I think it'd be useful, Paul, if you give the information about the community safety partnership structure and partners in the information report so that it can be formally recorded.
Thanks, Darlene. Clive?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I note what's in the report about the various acts, but I'll start off with my first question. We cannot ask representative of the police to attend this crime and disorder committee at any time. Is that correct?
The pro forma that is used across other authorities, Councillor Jones, is if an elected member is unable to get a satisfactory action from either the police or our community safety partners, and that multi-agency support is not there, then the Scrutiny Committee can then call those partners to the table and be answerable to Scrutiny Committee on that issue. So that it wouldn't take the place of an individual approach to the police or to community safety. But I think if members found that they hit a brick wall and that the matter they had wasn't being sufficiently progressed, then they can request the Scrutiny bring that forward and have the challenge of scrutiny as to that issue. So I certainly don't think it's there to replace the existing mechanisms, Councillor Jones, but it's there as a support mechanism if members feel that an issue isn't being sufficiently addressed by the community safety partners, then they can be brought to health in terms of a scrutiny report and challenge from scrutiny.
Right. Well, I'll give you one, Chair, which is close to the hearts of most members, and that's off-road bikers. That's been with us everywhere for quite some time, in my ward as well, where you see these clowns just ignoring, riding their bicycles, their bikes in the main road, on pavements, cross verges, and it's the old saying, I know they can't be everywhere. You never see a police officer when you want one at that particular time, because I'm just surprised that the police who patrol mainly nowadays in vans and cars, that they just don't see any of these off-road bikers. All right, they might be in some areas like the Taft Trail where they won't generally be seen by the police, but they can't miss them if they are in the middle of the road doing wheelies. So is that the sort of thing that we can bring here?
In terms of the future work programme, I would suggest that's probably discussion with Andrew, Neil and Chair in terms of what issues you wish to be brought in front of scrutiny, Councillor Jones. So yeah, that's certainly the sort of issues that could be discussed and incorporated into a scrutiny programme.
Right. And the other one is, you know, there's a major staffing issue with police forces right throughout the United Kingdom. And it seems to me they are just going up a slippery sliding pole somewhat and then sliding down, because when you take into account if a police officer or a PCSO is off sick on training, because they have to keep up with training on a frequent basis, there's insufficient numbers on shifts. So unless that is cracked and they've got sufficient staff, we're always, all of us, on an upward struggle of dealing with this. So, but is there any way through this committee that can be asked of the police? You know, when are these capacity issues going to be resolved?
Well,
Chair, Andrew was before me. I don't know, Andrew.
oh, sorry. Yeah, Andrew, do you want to come in?
Thank you, Chair. In short, Councillor, yes, we can look at that. If it's something that's coming through from the committee in terms of representation of the public voice, and also we can also look at that when we meet as our workshop, as alluded to earlier.
Yes, because there's a whole host of things. Another one is, you know, the police advise all and sundry to ring 101. And I think between us all, even on this committee now, we could write a book about 101. It ain't working. You know, we got members of the constituents that we represent are frustrated, to say the least. I mean, I've heard many constituents saying, I've been told to ring this 101 and I'm on the phone for 10 minutes, quarter of an hour, and then the phone gets cut off. Or even if they eventually get through, record the complaint, and then it appears that in a lot of cases, nothing is done about it.
Paul, do you want to come in?
Thanks for that. The other avenue that we've got, Councillor Jones, is obviously we've got representation on the South Wales Police Crime Panel. So possibly strategic issues such as police staffing levels, the 101 system, they would be more strategic issues rather than operational issues that are affecting the community. It's more of a wider policing structure. It would probably be advisable that we explore whether that would be better explored via our South Wales Police Crime Commissioner, which I understand is Councillor John Thomas, or whether it would be brought to the scrutiny. So I'll certainly go away, Councillor Jones, and inquire which would be the best fora for those type of questions, and I'll feed back to members.
That would be fine if you can do that, because I think it's got to be crystal clear. If people come to us and they're as frustrated as all of us have dealt with, they've got to be given real guidance as to who to contact. You know, I've told people in the past, just simply write to the Chief Constable directly if you had no joy locally. But I've no idea how those cases have ended up. You know, there's real frustration out there. So if we can't try and deal with matters in the PAC meetings, which is one of the first ports of calls, we got to tell them where individually they can go to. So when we're all furnished with that information, that'll be fine. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Clive. John, do you want to come in?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Yeah, on your point there, Clive, like Paul has said, I've just been appointed to that committee, which I think the next meeting is middle to end of September, well, which is actually the first meeting. We had a meeting last week, because all of us hadn't been checked out by the Police and Crime Commissioner panel, that we couldn't officially hold a meeting. So we just had a little training meeting. But if anybody got any issues that they want me to bring up, just send me an email or give me a ring and we can have a chat or whatever. And then we'll take everything back that you want brought up.
Thanks, John. Clive, is there a legacy end?
Sorry, Chair.
That's all right. We've all been there. Is any other questions? No, I just got a couple. Yeah, Paul, the partnership, are the RSLs included within the partnership?
They're included within the subgroup. So we have a problem-solving group that sits on a Merthyr boundary that is made up of RSLs, local authority, police, probation, so a variety of partners. So the RSLs are within the community safety partnership structure, yes.
Okay, thanks, Paul. And the other question I had around with, in terms of Carl, he was going to set up a database of ASB reports for members. Could we have some, maybe a training on how they can go about reporting? And because going on what Clive said earlier, you know, on 101, there's lots of things being missed. It's imperative we have a record somewhere. And if you know, if 101 is not telling a true picture, we do need some way of reporting.
Yep, I'll ensure that Carl either sends a briefing email to everybody with the relevant links to report ASB, or whether we hold a small workshop, and Carl can demonstrate within that workshop the tools that we've currently put in place. So I'll take that back, Chair.
Brilliant, thanks, Paul. Declan?
Thank you, Chair. In anything further coming forward, Paul, would you be able to put in the body of the report, you know, some of the things that are available to councillors in regards to the Anti-Social Behaviour, Crime and Policing Act 2014, because there's some of the things in there. This act that's come through is meant to be putting the victim first. And to be honest, I don't want to be negative here, and I say it in my comments after, is we need to work with the police, and sometimes we haven't been able to. It hasn't gone smoothly, to be honest. But some of the things available to councillors going forward, it will be the antisocial behaviour case review, or what's known as a community trigger. So if there's an issue of antisocial behaviour on a residence, you know, in a period of 6 months, we can ask for that to be brought forward, you know, and ask the police, the council, the registered social landlord, what are you doing with it? You know, what are you doing about this? Because it's hit its trigger. Three antisocial behaviour reports in 6 months. You know, and then you know, everyone within that community safety partnership has got to come back and say, right, we're doing this, we're doing that. Now, I think, and if councillors, now, this is not to beat the police with a stick. You know, we do need to work with them, because Clive mentioned earlier that you know, obviously, you know, they're short-staffed and that sort of thing. And I really want to work with the police, understand their issues as well. But yeah, we need to work together. And you know, if we could have that informal meeting with the police as well to understand their problems and how we can help each other, you know, I think that'd be really beneficial going forward. Cheers, Paul. Cheers, Chair.
Thanks, Mr. Bayer. Yes, I agree. The legislation, there's various tools within the legislation that the public can use, as you rightly pointed out, in terms of a community trigger. And there's obviously the ASB pathways that the local authority use. So yeah, I think it would be a useful exercise to outline to members the infrastructure around antisocial behaviour and the tools that we've got as a local authority. It's not just a police issue, it's a local authority issue. And obviously there's action we can take as the local authority as well. So yeah, I'm mindful for poor Neil and Andrew. I think they're going to have a busy year programme for the year ahead. But by all means, call us as and when you need us. And obviously we can outline what information members require.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Declan. Until we talked earlier, I didn't even know that existed myself, so that's well worth it. Any more questions? Right, move on to comments. Declan?
Thank you, Chair. It's just to reiterate what I said earlier. I don't want to beat the police with a stick, because, all right, they come in for a lot of criticism. Sometimes it's warranted, sometimes it's not, to be honest, because we've got to get across to residents. You know, they need to report the issues via 101, whether that's on the telephone system or whether it's via the online reporting system, and both of these have got better, because the 101 phone system, now you're in a queue, and if you press a certain number, it'll call you back, you know, so you don't have to actually wait on the phone. There's still a wait, you know, obviously they're short staffed, but I think going forward we need to work together, you know, as part of this community safety partnership for the good of residents and for the good of everyone. Because if we start, you know, the council come in for a lot of stick, and we know this, you know, we all hear it, your council has done nothing, they do nothing, you know, but they don't realise exactly what's going on. And it would be the same with the police. But I just think we all need to work together going forward. And if we can find a way to do that, best for everyone. Thank you, Chair.
Totally agree. Any other comments? No, I'd just like to reiterate what Declan said. It's about moving forward and trying to find a way forward. The police came in last year to talk about comms and reporting. I had an incident recently where one of the residents contacted me, tried ringing 101, couldn't get through, tried the online reporting, says because it's taking place, you have to phone 101 or 999. Talked to the neighbourhood beat manager. He then said you can report it via social media, which was what was told to us last year in Scrutiny. Contacted via social media, said no, that this can't be reported via here. So you're just going round in circles. They did say they would try to look to improve comms, but for me it's gone a step backwards. But yeah, it would be great. Maybe not to Scrutiny. Maybe we have a workshop, maybe a day, an away day with the police, and we discuss all the issues and you know, plan a way forward. That's my personal point of view anyway. So okay, if there's no other comments, I'd like to thank Paul for coming and sharing this report. You're welcome to go now. Same with you, Alan. If you want to go away and pack for your holiday, have a good holiday. Thanks for coming. See you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you very much, Chair.
Take care, both. Yeah, so moving on, item agenda 6, report recommendations. Just did we address the recommendations in the report, and does everybody think we added value? Any comments? No. I think the report was, you know, slim today. I think over the next, you know, couple of weeks we'll discuss a forward work program, and there'll be some quite meaty topics on there. Judging on what we had today, I think it went well. I don't know if everybody else agrees. I think everybody asked the right question. I don't think there's anything we missed out. On agreement, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Chair.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Moving on, item agenda 7, feedback on scrutiny activities and outstanding actions. I just have one thing to feedback, really. We discussed it in Regen Scrutiny over the last year about doing some co-production work. I've been doing some stuff with the Open University. We brought it to the local authority. We've been meeting with officers and community partners. We've had a day, a planning day, and we're looking to do an event. Merthyr Valley's Homes are on board. We're looking to do it in Gurness. And it'll be a day where we can consult and talk to the community. I'd like to invite you all in the next planning of that, so you can see what we're doing and see how beneficial it may be for the scrutiny groups and your own communities. So that's something we're working with. I'm going to be working closely with Andrew and the team to see if this is something we can bring to scrutiny, and even just if it's task and finish groups and projects. So just wanted to give you a quick update on that. Clive, do you want to come in?
Yes, Chair. Have you got a particular date in mind for that, or are you still working towards that?
Yeah, the date of the event will probably be towards the end of September, but there'll be some planning before that. We've been meeting for probably 6 months to 8 months. I wanted to do it around housing originally, and then we had the RSLs in, and then they said, right, you know, rather than doing across Merthyr, they wanted to target an area. I didn't choose Gurness, I promise you. Merthyr Valley's Homes chose that. They were the only RSL there. So it's a day where we can speak to the community about what they see, the issues, and what they see the future in their community. We've got, I know we've discussed comms in the past, Clive, in terms of the school. Goitra's going to have a new school, so maybe this is an ideal opportunity to discuss, you know, the new Welsh school development in Gurness and the primary, Goitra primary as well.
Right. Okay. Thanks.
No problem. I'll keep you updated anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't have any other feedback. I don't know if any of the team do. Don't think so. No. Okay. Item agenda 8. Any other business? It's just we chatted about it earlier, just to discuss a meeting for designing the forward work program. We have set provisionally the 18th of July